Instagram gave me the boot. Instagram booted me off because of my music. I literally just mentioned my music. My music was playing for all this time, and then once I mentioned my music, they cut me off, right? That's suspicious. That's suspicious. I wanted to save that live, but oh well. I'm gonna just turn the music off. It's fine. I'll just sing Beyonce in my head. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. But I'm gonna do this live again because I want to save something. I want to save something on my page since I haven't posted in a while. They do it to me all the time. Yes, I've seen it, and you be singing down, Trini. You be singing down, and they cut you off. I'd be like, he was about to hit that note. Why they do that? Why they do that? Yeah, IG's listening too. Yeah, they listening, but all that time the music was playing, right? But until I mentioned it, it wasn't a problem, right? They didn't boot me off until I mentioned it. That's suspicious. That's suspicious. So if I didn't get to your question, please ask it again. Thanks for coming back, y'all. If I didn't get to your question, ask it again. They had lock extensions. Word, they did. They did. They had lock extensions. They had instant locks. They had faux locks. Hating on the sister. Just trying to live right. The lock community is so sometime-ish. The lock community is so sometime-ish. What do you mean by that, Trini? Raja, beautiful as always, goddess love from Seattle. Thank you. Melinda, yeah, y'all did. Y'all came back strong too. Usually y'all don't be coming back. But y'all came back this time. It's because my face is beat this time. That's why. I'm convinced. Because I be coming live without no beat face. And y'all come through, say hi, and leave. I don't know how I feel about that. Take me as I am. Okay? I don't like wearing makeup all the time, alright? Hey, Keisha, you're truly an inspiration. Thank you, Zenja Johnson. So many people downplay lock extensions and interlocks but have colored hair and claim to be natural. Ooh. Trini, do you want to come on this live? Do you want to have a conversation? 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 I use water, baking soda, and apple cider vinegar for my rinse. Do you recommend not using the baking soda? I personally don't recommend using baking soda because ever since Jocelyn Renee she changed her name. What is her name now? The internet loctician. I think her name is the internet loctician. I don't know if she's on Instagram anymore. Oh man. Regardless, she's definitely a loctician that I have followed for years. I've learned a lot from her, and I remember her talking about how that really messes up the pH of your hair using the baking soda with the apple cider vinegar. Excuse me. So ever since then, I stopped adding baking soda. I mean, not that I was like a big apple cider vinegar rinse user, because my hair was always color treated, especially with semi-permanent colors, and that's a really quick way to take your color out. So I wasn't using it a lot, but when I did, I stopped using baking soda for that reason, to keep the pH of my hair in a more balanced state. So yeah, and I found that it works just fine. Like just using the apple cider vinegar and water works just fine at clearing out my hair. It's gonna be 4 years with my lock journey. Love it. Congratulations. You're beautiful anyway. Thank you. No two journeys are identical. Allow people to have their journey as they please. Sure. Okay. Trini's coming. I hope, if Instagram is okay. Hey, how you doing?
Amazing. I'm off, but I was just chiming in and listening to your conversation, reading some of the comments. Fun. And there's so many, there's so much much misleading information, and so many people are so biased when it comes to locks and being natural, which I don't understand. First thing is the misconception of not shampooing your hair. Um, so if your scalp is not healthy, your hair can't be healthy. It makes no sense to have long hair if it's damaged.
Right.
First thing. Um, yeah. The second thing is a lot of people, have a bias about lock extension, about instant locks, but no two journeys are identical. So my texture is different than yours, and it's different than everybody else that's in your feeds. So our journeys are not going to be identical. If you decide to color your hair, then you color your hair. If you decide to instant crochet your hair, you decide to crochet your hair. If you decide to interlock, you decide to interlock it. Everybody's journey is different. But I see, like, in the natural hair community, we have these things of, oh, this is this way and this is that way. And I'm like, well, if you truly wanted to be natural and you wanted your locks to be natural, you would have freeformed.
I
Because
don't know if I necessarily agree with that.
here's why, because our hair locks on its own. If we just shampoo our hair, if we wash our hair and allow it to do its thing, it tangles on its own. That's what locks are. It's tangled hair. It's larger sections of tangled hair. So your hair does not have to be manicured in order for your hair to lock. So that's what I'm saying.
Hmm.
We're gonna, throw these rules out and, shun a person for not going through our specific journey, then, what do you think that people that have freeform locks say about us with manicured
Oh,
hair? It's
I hear it. I hear it.
right, but it's no different than colorism. This person's not really black because they're not dark enough. It's the same thing, and it's only us doing it, and that's the sad part.
You know, I can see the comparison, but I don't really feel the comparison. And here's why. So when it comes to, here's an analogy, like when it comes to like a billionaires, right? You have a billionaire who inherited their father's wealth. Dope, cool. But when you have a billionaire who came from the projects, started their own business in their kitchen, and then their business expanded, and now they're a billionaire,
But
self-made.
but
It's
both are
like
billion.
it's more respected because of the work and the passion and the drive behind that versus somebody who had it handed to them.
Not
So
true. It's not true.
I'm here.
So just because I was born into wealth doesn't mean that I don't know anything about it and I can't appreciate it. That's why I said we project because of things that we're used to hearing and used to seeing. But it does not mean that that specific individual is going to go by those rules. If I was born a billionaire and you earned $1 billion, we're both billionaires. That's it. We're both billionaires. It's just we have all these prejudice and all these biases because of what we've been taught. The matter is, we're both billionaires. That's it. My locks are different than yours, but we both have locks. I may have been born in Trinidad and you may have been born in the United States, but we're both black. You see, there's all these different biases and all these filters that we put on that a lot of people just don't understand. But it's only us doing it against each other.
You know, and I get the analogy you just gave, but at the same time, it's like when you're looking for inspiration, you look for the people, you look for those rags to riches stories that really inspire you. You don't look for the person who had it handed to them, even if they are just as qualified or just as knowledgeable as the rags to riches billionaire. You're you're gonna value you're gonna value the one who worked harder, who had to work harder, who came out the mud. You're gonna value that more than somebody who had it simple and easy.
But does that mean they're more qualified?
No, I'm not saying it means they're more qualified, but I'm just saying what we appreciate seeing more. We appreciate seeing the more the like it just feels like it's more love. It feels like it's more passion behind it.
But
You know what I mean? You know,
but even with passion, there's other emotions behind passion. Like, even when we're talking about conversation, I'm speaking this way because I'm passionate. But what's the emotion behind passion?
love
Anger, frustration. That's what I'm saying. There's so many different
and
things.
love.
There's so many different layers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
This is a great conversation, though.
I'm sorry.
I said it's a great conversation. You're great at what you do.
Oh, thank you. And I used to listen to your clubhouses all the time, but I don't have clubhouse anymore. But yeah. Yeah. But I did like that you brought up like how like Rastafarians or people who free farm their hair, how they look at us. Because I definitely see that. I'm also being a Caribbean person myself. I remember one time, this is like last year. My locks were down past my butt, and I was walking down the street, and some man, I assumed him to be Jamaican from his accent, and he like ran down the block to try to talk to me. His hair was in a tam.
Mm-hmm.
If I couldn't tell how long it was, but I could tell it was really long. He came up to me and it was like, "Wow, you're so beautiful, this and that. You Rasta or something like that." I said no. He said, "Oh, you just like that hairstyle." Then I was just like, it was not just a hairstyle to me. But he said, "But you're not Rasta." I said no, and then he just walked away from me. I was like, oh, but I get it though. I get it because of the meaning that they have towards their hair. But that doesn't take away from the meaning that I have as a
That's
non-Rasta.
my point right
But
there.
that's why I understand. I understand where you're coming from. I do get it. I do get it. Like I get it. But from a person who who saw so much value in the lock journey. Like I'm always talking about this. I wrote a book, More Than a Hair Journey. Like the way, especially I started my locks when I was 19. That was a very pivotal time in my life in general. I was going to college. I was transitioning into womanhood, in my opinion, and going through that stage of my life while forming my locks, it was so impactful to me. So I just like you said, this is a projection, but like I want people to experience the growth process or the character building that comes from going through the locking stages. You know, when you skip the steps, you're skipping that growth. And again, like I said earlier, I think on the last live, everyone doesn't want to have locks because of the growth that comes with it. Everyone doesn't want locks because of the character building, and I can't make them want that. I get it, but I just personally I respect it more when they have that intention behind their lock journey.
But who say that they're not like so because I actually do locks on different texture types and densities and I start different ways, who said that they don't go through those journeys and go through those steps?
I mean,
Their hair their hair still has to bud to those extensions if they decide to extend it. They have to go through a phase. They still have to come back. They themselves have to get used to a different way of living. I mean, so many people have locks and they don't even take care of their bodies at all. Like they eat like crap, but they're looking down on somebody else for getting lock extensions. It doesn't make sense. They don't eat properly. They don't drink sufficient water. They don't cover themselves, and they're not healthy mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Like, so, like, how do you downplay somebody else because their journey is different? Like, do you really appreciate your hair? What if your hair was taking care of you the way that you take care of it? Like, you can't even wash your hair, but you're looking down on somebody because they decided to invest and to take pride in themselves and their journey is different. It doesn't make sense.
you know, I'm okay to accept that my view on this may be inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know if you would call it cognitive dissonance, but I accept that like it's not necessarily fair.
I like that.
I'll accept that, but that's how I believe. That's what I believe though, and I'll accept that it's not necessarily fair.
I actually really like that. So, my point of view is always to play it neutral. So, person will never know which way I'm going. I do have my personal beliefs, but I just want to expand a person's way of thinking because this is what I do as a stylist, as an educator, and as a cosmetologist. Um, so just like a Philly, we like to say that he's a natural hair militant, right? But he does color, right? But color's not natural,
Right, right,
right? And then
right.
a lot of people will be like, well, henna, but most people are not getting henna in its purest form
Mm.
either. So that's what I'm saying. So we pick and choose, based on what we hear and the experiences that we've had and what's popular, but we're not doing the research. We're not doing all the research. It's cool that we see stuff on YouTube. It's cool that we see stuff on Google. But I mean, we just have to think logically. everybody cannot do everything. Like all the foods that we eat are not natural. So does that mean that we're bad people? No, it doesn't.
Yeah. I don't want to make it sound like I think that people who have instant locks or lock extensions are bad people. Not at all. I don't want that to be the narrative here. That's not what I'm saying. No, yeah. You know, people take sound bites. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. All
But
right.
but it literally is a matter of, changing our way of thinking, because I think we forget that colorism is still a thing, texturism is still a thing, and we have these biases because we're conditioned already. So this is better. Um, like how this trend, a lot of people that have locks that have been natural for years are when with their locks, they're combing out their ends and they're relaxing their ends because they want to pass. So, everybody's journey is not the same. I'm going to let you enjoy your journey the way that you enjoyed. If you ask me, I will educate, I will empower, and I will enlighten you. But I'm not going to project my personal belief on you because, again, this is not my journey. It is for you to enjoy.
I respect that. Thank you, 90. Sean, thank you, Sean, for buying a badge. My bestie said, I understand what you're saying, but nah. And the thing is, like, I do like. I guess that's just something I have to take a look at, because I absolutely intellectually get what you're saying, and it makes perfect sense. But when it comes to like the the respect factor is different, because I went through it. I
Mhm.
know how tough it can be, especially for women, especially women who may have looked at their hair as their source of beauty, because that was all me, right? Especially when my hair was relaxed. Like I love me some to do a little sweet little Aaliyah. You know, you can tell me nothing. So when I wanted to evolve and beyond that, and I was like, oh, I look ugly like this. Like when I was going through that process, like the way I had to build myself up, it was a beautiful thing for me. And I just want, I wish that other people could experience that, like take a piece of that, because of how impactful it was for me. But again, like you said, like that everyone's journey is going to be their own. They're going to see value in different things, different aspects of their journey, whether they're getting their lock extensions or having their instant locks or whatever. Their hair still has to lock to the extension, and their instant lock still has to. Actually, I don't even really know how instant locks really work, but there is still a process. It's just not the same. Like it's just not the same.
But none of them are the same. That's my point. That's why I keep
Yeah.
saying. So, some people start with comb coils. Some people start with two-strand twist. Some people start with plaits. Um, some people use rubber bands. Some people just do the sort of hand. But the outcome is still the same. It still creates a lock. Locks are just larger sections of tangled hair. That's it. It's all tangles. So whatever method you have to do or you have to use to tangle your hair, the outcome is still the same. Before there was instant locks with a fine crochet needle, people were using the latch hook technique, which is interlocking. It's the same thing, but no one ever talks about that. But it's literally the same thing. A latch hook and a crochet needle is the same exact tool. It's just one is larger than the other, and no one has a problem with that. It's the same thing.
Do you mean the latch hooks for interlocking?
Absolutely, it's the same thing. They're both crochet hooks.
Do they create, or do you create instant locks with a latch hook?
You can. That's how they started doing it in the beginning.
Oh, okay.
That's my
Oh, I
point. I
didn't
was
know
like,
that.
so different things, and they don't know. And I was like, but it's the same thing. If you go to Joann's Fabric, if you go to Michael's, if you go to the arts and crafts section, and you go to the yarn, if you go to where they're crocheting, they're all right there next to each other. It's the same tool. One is larger than the other. It comes in different sizes.
Okay. So I never, when people, for instance, when people interlock their hair as lock maintenance, I never looked at that as other than like other than going through the process. To me, that's still the lock process that I see eye to eye with. I
Hmm.
never I never looked at that as anything different, except for like maybe um you know, the cheat, it's still a little bit of a cheat in my eyes, because okay, when they wash their hair, is they don't have to retwist it because it's still intact, or they can go to the gym and rinse their hair more often and things like that. But some I don't know. It's just mentally, it's the same or same enough. I don't know. Trini, I could be honest and say like I could be inconsistent with my views on this because of my own lived experience. Maybe I don't think I know anybody who's had like lock extensions or instant locks. I mean personally.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe that would help me to change my heart, because my heart is not moved. What else did I want to say about that? Oh yeah, and also I just noticed that the people. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. You're obviously a loctician, so you'll absolutely know better than me. But from what I see, it seems like people who get the instant locks or people who get lock extensions, they seem to be less committed to keeping their locks. Is that true in your experience?
No, actually, some of the people that I know that have invested in lock extensions or instant locks actually take more care of their hair because it was a higher price point. So they are covering their hair. They are calling to ask questions on, is this all good? Am I doing the right things? They're actually taking more care. This is from my personal experience based on the people that I've seen and I've spoken to on a day-to-day basis. A lot of people that went through that natural journey, that went through, they're low maintenance, or so they say. They don't cover their hair. They're not consistent with hydrating or moisturizing their hair in any way, shape, or form, and they're always looking for a quick fix. So instead of shampooing their hair, they're gonna be like, "Oh, well, such and such said do an ACV." Yeah, but ACV does the same exact thing as shampoo and conditioner and water. It's the same thing. So it's just they're lazy. So instead of you shampooing your hair every 1 to 4 to 6 weeks, you'll go 3 months and you'll be like, oh, I have to do an ACV. No, if you would have shampooed your hair properly and thoroughly more often, you wouldn't have any buildup because that's sweat. It's the oversaturation of product and it's dead skin that's lodged into the locks. One, you're leaving the hairstyle in too long and it's fusing in between the locks and that buildup. But if you were to shampoo your hair properly and thoroughly in a shorter period of time, you wouldn't have that buildup. If you were to cover your hair, you wouldn't have that problem. So that's what's like there's a lot of misinformation that's out there. There's a lot of people that say, "Oh, well, do this and do this and do this," but they don't know that there's for every action there's a reaction, and it's just teaching people to be lazy, not take care of their hair. That's why I always say this: what if your hair was taking care of you the way that you take care of it.
I would like to respond to this comment. I wasn't able to. I'm sorry, guys. I wasn't able to like read all the comments because they were going by so fast, and I was trying to listen to Trini. But Black still says that's like saying someone who has braids and someone who gets weave and then braids to their ass is the same.
It,
I'm sorry.
it is the same.
What? That's the same to you?
Same. It is the same. They're both extensions. They're both extensions. So, and this is when me being a cosmetologist comes into play. So a lot of people's like, oh, because it looks natural. But yeah, what's used in that hair? What type of hair? Do you know that it's synthetic fiber? That it's a percentage of plastic that's in that hair? It's all the same. People just say, oh, I like this and I like this because it looks a specific way, but it still has a lot of women feeling insecure about their natural hair when they take it off. It's the same thing.
Well, I mean, maybe I misread his comment because I thought he was referring to like natural hair, like braids from your scalp.
Mm-hmm.
But even so, I mean, we can get to that conversation. I don't think that braid extensions is the same as weave.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry?
They're all weave though. It's weaved into it. That's what that braiding technique is called. It's called a weave. So we created these terms. Now we've adapted these terms, but it's all listed under weave. They're all extensions, all of it. But so we're like, oh no, I gotta get my rope twist, or I gotta get my box braids, but it's still not your hair. So we can be like, oh, I'm gonna get my box braids because it looks one way to us, but the fact of the matter is that is not our hair. Most people are not using it in their texture. It's no different. and it still creates a false sense of reality. It's not your hair. So if we're going to be like this to lock extensions, we need to be like that for box braids. We also need to be like that for sew-ins. That's my point. That's like we pick and choose.
I don't agree with you. I don't agree with that.
But I mean,
Wait,
Alice, I see it every single day, and there's no difference. It's the same technique used. You still have to braid the hair down in order to extend it, right? You still have to add hair. It's the same thing.
to me, the difference comes into play when you consider the I guess the beauty inspiration, one being Eurocentric, one being Afrocentric. The locks, the lock extensions, while I may not love that, it's still emulating Black beauty as well as braids. That's a African expression, versus the straight hair wigs and weaves. That's while it may all be fake hair, it's different to me.
But we never said straight hair. I never said straight hair. All of those are weave. So see, when people think weave, they automatically go to straight hair. But just because you're getting a sew-in doesn't mean that it has to be straight. It can definitely be kinky.
How many people do you know getting kinky sew-ins compared to the straight?
How many people you know getting kinky braids? Because box braids is always done with straight hair. Very seldom do you see box braids with synthetic and with kinky hair.
But can you tell the difference when
Yes.
you look at it?
Yep.
You can.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's why I said it's all the same. But I mean, so before I became a natural hairstylist, I was a wardrobe stylist, and I had to help people with their image of themselves. And little do they know that all those things came from Black women, all of it, because not every Black person has kinky hair. That's another thing we don't realize. So I have family members that are darker than me that have straight hair, and it's their natural hair texture. So, I know we like to say it's Eurocentric, but there's some indigenous people that are darker than you and I that have straight hair.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can't deny that. But that's not where they're getting their inspiration from, if we're
But they,
being honest.
but no, let's be honest, they got it from Black women. The standard of beauty came from Black women. It all came from
What
Black women.
standard of beauty are you referring to?
The standard of beauty came from Black women. All of it. Now, other people have adopted it and are passing it for their own, but the standard of beauty came from a Black woman.
So when you say the standard of beauty, what are you referring to? Because I don't see that. I see the standard of beauty in America
Hmm.
is a Eurocentric standard. So how I don't see what where the Black comes into play.
So explain to me what do you feel is Eurocentric?
Uh, I guess that I saw recently that they said that the most beautiful woman
Hmm.
scientifically was Bella Hadid. Do you know who that
Hmm.
is?
Uh, she sounds Middle Eastern.
Is she? I don't know, but the name does sound Middle Eastern. But she
Oh,
definitely looks white. I'm gonna see if I can pull up a picture. And to me, she looks like what the white people standard of beauty
mhm.
is. But I mean, her face is not even natural though. Let me find a good picture to show you.
The thing, what kind of publication is that coming from?
American,
I
white.
mean, we don't own anything, right? So who else we expect for them to love and to post? But the standard of beauty did come from, right,
Yeah, I don't want to keep screen up so long. I don't know what kind of tabs I have open,
right, right.
but
Understand?
um, yeah. So when you say the standard of beauty comes from Black women, I mean that sounds great to me. I love to hear it, but I just don't see that. So I'm not sure what you mean.
The curvature of the bodies, the augmentations, the fuller lips. So a lot of non-melanated women want to be Black women, and there's a lot of Black women that want to pass for white women. So, so a lot of times we just want what we don't have. But the standard beauty has always been a Black woman. That's uh, why they did so many experiments on Sarah Bartman for so long, because they were fascinated with her figure, with how she was built. I mean, they're harvesting melanin right now to this day because they realized that the fountain of youth was melanin. They're white, they're white men and women that are injecting melanin in their bodies because it makes them look younger. And they realize that they have less defects in their body. That's why they've been trying to get us to mix for so long. Because whether you know it or not, I mean, it's everybody's going to be mixed pretty soon in the next 10 to 20 years. And we're okay with that because we don't realize that the Black woman has always been a standard of beauty because they were taught differently.
Hmm.
Black women are the power for everything. They're the key to everything, literally everything. A Black woman can give birth to a white child, a biracial looking child, all those children. And it could be a Black man and a Black woman. This child still end up looking white, but a white woman cannot give birth to a fully Black looking child without a Black man.
I can't address that because I really don't know. But as far as like beauty goes, um, yeah, I can see what you mean. Like as far as like like the surgeries, the popular surgeries that the women, white or non-Black women, do get. They get surgeries that look like, I guess, your at least what you think is a typical Black woman. Because I mean, listen, I'm a Black woman, no doubt about that. I'm a size 2, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not, you know what I mean? Like I'm naturally a size 2. And so when when we identify what a Black woman is as, like this curvy woman, like, yeah, okay, but yeah, we're not all that. Just
But
like how you said, I'm
you're
sorry.
still curvy though.
I wouldn't use that word. I have a nice shape, but I wouldn't use the word curvy. And no one's getting surgery to. I mean, I guess maybe some people are getting surgery to have my type of body, but when people say when people identify Black women with curves, they're not talking about no size 2 Black women.
Or you're thinking voluptuous,
Yeah,
but you
that's what.
you
Yeah,
are curvy.
I'm sorry.
I, have seen you in real life. You are curvy, but curvy and voluptuous are not the same thing. But you are curvy.
Okay, well, we can argue about that, but I'm okay. I'm gonna let your ideas digest. But as far as like hair goes, I feel like I have Cophelia over my shoulder, and I it's it's not, to me, it's just not the same. It's not the same as far as like the comparing braided styles to sew-in straight hair. But obviously sew-in curly kinky hair, I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't say that's definitely comparable to braids and like natural Black styles. But it's like an unspoken hierarchy in our community,
Mm-hmm.
and I understand why that is. It's because the reason why we started wearing our hair in white styles was for survival, assimilation, you know. But then it came to a point, in my opinion, where we're still doing that and we don't have to anymore. Oh, well, not we, but a lot of Black women are still doing that when we don't have to anymore. So it's like I want to, like, that's why I have this presence on social media, because I want to be an image for Black women to remember that they don't have to do that anymore. You don't have to. You don't have to get a press and curl to get that job as a secretary, or I don't know, so whatever kind of corporate job. You don't have to do that anymore. You can embrace who you are naturally, and and be and survive. Because at the end of the day, like Madam TJ Walker and they made their hair straightening products because I believe that they had like laws against wearing braids, and
Mm-hmm.
they made like they had laws where Black women had to cover their hair because the men didn't know how to act. They loved the black women's hair so much they didn't know how to act. They made the women cover their hair, and they outlawed braids and things like that. So they had to straighten it because they had to work. But yeah, we're not at that time anymore. So it's important for me to be a figure to help black women know that they can wear their natural hair. And when I say that there's like a hierarchy, natural hair is at the top of that. Then that natural hair, real hair, is at the top of that for me. And then comes hairstyles that are African in nature or that look like natural hairstyles or that look like African styles, like the braids or the even the faux locks. And then comes the straight hair, the or relaxed hair, and then the straight sew-ins and wigs. So of course, to each their own, to each their own. But yeah, I feel strongly on that.
No, I'm still strongly with that part as well. All I said was all the same thing. It's still an extension. Whether what texture, the person chooses, it's still an extension and it's still not their hair. So a lot of black women will extend their hair and will feel safer and more beautiful with any type of extension. I'm not even talking about a texture than they will their natural hair. And because of that false sense of security is why I said it is equivalent to the same thing. It doesn't, if your hair is short and kinky, rock your short and kinky hair. If your hair is long and wavy, rock your long and wavy hair. But there's nothing that's more beautiful than the organic version of you. So if we're going to pick and choose, we have to be fair across the board, is all I'm saying. So people are like, oh, this to lock extensions, but this to braids, they're both still extensions. Neither of it is your hair. Why are y'all picking and choosing? Oh, this looks more black. Well, lock extensions definitely look more African than box braids. Come on, like it's just
Sometimes.
some. Not if it's done. Now you've seen my work.
Yeah,
If it
no,
is
your work is fire. Oh, look, if you guys don't follow Trini for True, make sure you do today. Let that today be the day you follow. Yeah, absolutely. I completely understand where you're coming from, and I have to go. I need to film this YouTube video before it gets too late. I have to eat. So I want everybody watching this, make sure you leave a comment because I'm going to save this live. I want you to leave a comment and weigh in on our conversation. And I hope that you have a lovely night. Thank you so much, Trini, for joining.
love you so much. I respect you
Love
so
you
much.
too. Bye.